Rakaseth is actually a really good creature. It's hard to cast. It's best for reanimation. Clear of Dawn, decent. Hydra can be really good. The rest of it, kind of meh. I'm just looking through what I pulled, trying to find all the creatures from the sealed pool. See what I'm going for in colors. First, think about going red-green because it's got two really good top-end finishers. Then the support for both of these is kind of meh. Didn't really pull any other elementals that are playing. Probably could have gotten away with it, but I ended up deciding to look at the other colors. Master Splicer is really good if you can bounce it, play it again, and you get another golem. Cavalier of Dawn creates a golem. There's a bit of synergy there. Although if you end up killing one of your opponent's creatures or permanents, they get the golem, not you. But it's nice that that flexibility's there. End up pulling a decent amount of flyers. So I'm looking at going blue-white flyers. Fortunately, Cavalier is not a flyer. Not the white one anyway. The blue one is. Alright, now I clear out the filters and take a look at the rest of the cards that could support any color combination that I'm looking at going. At this point, I'm pretty much set on blue-white flyers, confirming that there's nothing else really for the other colors. Kind of disappointed that the black pool ended up kind of meh because murder is the best limited removals. But it's hard to splash black with the double black requirement. Imperial Invocation and the Hydra are ridiculous. I mean, pretty much anything in the Hydra is. Tectonic Rift can be really good, but you have to already have stuff in play before you do it. I mean, you can harass people and lock them out of one of their colors, but better as a finisher after you already have a bunch of creatures on board. Overcome is a good finisher. Not quite as good as Overrun in the past, but we'll play with what we get. Now I'm just kind of pulling creatures and spells that would pull me towards any colors to help me make my decision. There wasn't really any color that spoke out as being better than the other ones when I was looking at the pool. In hindsight, I probably would have been better off going red-green, but aside from the two top-end bombs, there just wasn't really enough to fill out a deck. So here I've decided blue-white flyers is the way to go. Start pulling out flying creatures, decent removal spells. Angelic Gift has some synergy with Cavalier of Dawn. Since a lot of my creatures are flying already, I can just put the enchantment on one of my creatures, draw a card, and then the Cavalier comes down, I blow up my own enchantment, and I get a free golem. I come to regret putting Retributive, that is a hard word to say, Retributive Wand in there. Because it's 3 mana to play and 3 mana to activate. You're investing 6 into something that's just going to do 1 damage. You can snipe a few 1 toughness creatures, but by turn 4 at the earliest, you're not pulling ahead that way. Limited is all about building up your board, using a little bit of removal, card advantage to pull ahead, and then just tempo your opponent out of the game. You shouldn't be planning for long, dirtily games unless you're playing a control deck, which you have to have a pretty decent pull to make a control deck work. Reason being, it's hard to find a good sweeper in limited, and your opponent is going to be having the most amount of their cards being creature spells. So you want a sweeper in order to be able to keep up. Right now I'm lamenting the availability of solid cards in my pool. I think about splashing red just because I'm at 30 out of 40 cards. One benefit of sealed both on arena and in paper is you have a decent amount of time to build your deck. So you shouldn't go with just the first deck that you think up just because that's what you think is going to be best. Even if you do end up going with that, check out the rest of the cards just to make sure you're not missing anything. The nice thing about limited in general in arena is you have as much time as you want. Unfortunately, this aspect of it makes watching it on YouTube kind of boring. So I'm just going through griping that there's no better black cards to add, so I could play Murder. Duress and Negate in limited are often a trap. Like I said before, most people are going to have like 17 creatures for their deck. That's kind of what you want to aim for. So Duress and Negate are not going to be as good. back in War of the Spark, everybody was trying to play Planeswalkers, so you had a lot more hits. Right now I'm just adding one of, just because I gotta get to the 40 cards. I don't think I end up negating a single thing in games, but when you really want to negate and you have a negate, it's a really good feeling to have it limited, so might as well. Now, I did end up pulling the Vial of Dragonfire, in addition to the blue creature that can search it out. So since I was looking for cards anyway, probably should have added that in there. Yeah, I'm already salty about my pool. So I named the deck Bad Pool is Bad. Alright, let's try it out. I end up having lands and spells, so it's about as keepable hand as any. I probably should have flashed in Flying Man and blocked, but blue white, there's a few tricks he could have had, and there's not that much upside. I can take one. Bag of Holding ends up being surprisingly decent for, especially for decks that can abuse it. There's that red creature that you can discard cards, and when you do, you deal damage. You can also loot on attack. Gotten off to a slow start here. Can't really punch through their meager creatures that they've set up already. Which gives the opponent a chance to start filtering. I choose to not block, wanting to attack back, but it ends up being a mistake. The opponent gets a free card. Now, if I swing back, he can just show block with his free miscreant. At this point, I'm just looking to increase my board and then eventually bounce my opponent's board, get a tempo swing. So I was kind of hoping that he would use the vial on my creature, because then I can safely play my angel if I draw land. But didn't end up drawing a land anyway. So I end up opting to play Angelic Gift to try and find the land, but I foolishly play it into my opponent's removal. So my opponent is ahead on board. I'm ahead on cards, but it doesn't really matter when I can't cast my spell. So just go for the play that I can make. I consider unsummoning, but it's only saving me 3 life, and it gets lets the opponent set up their board, or set up the top of their deck rather. And summoning at the end of their turn just to buy a little bit more time. So from here, things look decent. I can stop him in the air with this 1/1. Next turn, I can ping the 1/1. And if he plays the angel, I can use my removal on it. And then he top decks Cavalier. So now I have 2 big threats that I need to spend my removal on. I mean, I'm assuming. I don't know what he put back and if he can shuffle it, but to draw 3, put 2 back, so he's going to draw those unless he shuffles them. So even though I got rid of 2 of his creatures, I'm still way behind on board because of the pacifism. I don't know why my opponent didn't swing in with a 1/3. I don't have haste creatures. He's got plenty of mana to activate his stuff. Could have dropped me to 5. At this point, I'm just applying a band-aid. It doesn't really help that much. It's practically a fog that lets my opponent scry. And at this point, he's too far ahead. He can just equip his angel, and I don't really have anything that can interact with it at that point. He might as well sack his extra land to draw a card. He's got plenty of mana. And Meteor Golem. I choose to concede. So I don't think there was that much play error there. I think it was just my opponent got a better start, got a slightly better pool, and I ended up missing some land drops for my higher end stuff, which was a huge temple loss. I just couldn't recover. Which happens. You just move on, try better next game. So Chandra and Elementals, great push in this format. So kind of scared of what he could be getting into. So I opt for Sleep Paralysis. Makes use of my turn and slows my opponent down a bit. I'm hoping that I have the better end game, but if he has Chandra, it would definitely be the better end game. But at least I keep him from it for a little bit. So I consider a Cavalier of Dawning there, but I really want to get greedy with it and do the Angelic Gift interaction. So I'm running low on cards. My opponent's not putting that much pressure on me at that point. So he is, in fact, on the Chandra plan. So many Chandras this set. Opponent is debating to shock it, I'm guessing. I opt to play it on my 1-3 just in case he does, in fact, have a shock. Still draw my card. opponent turns in his Chandra in order to shock my creature. It's fine. Gets the Planeswalker off the board. I am sure that I want to get rid of that to get a golem. At this point, I'm feeling pretty good about my chances. I head on board, and I have a counter spell for a non-creature and a counter spell for a creature. Even if my opponent can develop his board, I can bounce through this thing. So my opponent decides to move on to the next game, which is probably smart. Untapped blue. So I opt for the creature rather than the wand. The wand is just so much lost tempo. I mean, even if I did have wand down and then follow it up with pinging the 1/1, he still has a 3/3, and I just have no creatures. So I should have read that a bit better. I mean, if he's swinging his 4/4 into my 4/4, he probably has a trick for removal, which he did. So my opponent ends up getting a 2-for-1, and then following up with removal on my follow-up. Now he's got quite the tempo advantage. So I opt to get rid of the golem, which is probably debatable. The knight is going to eventually get bigger, and I can remove the knight, but at this point I can't deal with a 4/4 anyway. So now if that removal spell was instant speed, I absolutely would have saved it for the knight. I can't even really double block here because he can pump once to a 6/7, which is big enough, but he can also pump it twice. which he ends up doing. Go down to 2. Pretty much stuck with jump blocking for the rest of the game. I probably should have played Wand and pinged his creature so I could get in the extra damage. Because by this point in the game, there's not going to be many 1 toughness creatures coming down. Swinging all out last turn left me open to removal, but if my opponent had that removal, I'm probably not going to win that game anyway. So I ping my opponent for 1. It's not likely to matter, but I might as well. Which, if I was going to do that, I should have done it at end of turn because he had a follow up. But at this point in the game, it was over anyway. So I opt to go aggressive there, but I probably should have stayed back since I misread that my opponent should be the aggro in this matchup. I should be the control in this matchup. The role's kind of reversed. Yeah, at this point, I realize that I've misinterpreted my role. I should be the control role, while my opponent is the aggro role, or the aggressive role. If I had stayed back, with my flyer, I would have been at 20 still.